But moreover, the king himself, there's a whole new microscope being now shifting over to him, because the man is being heckled more and more now when he goes out in public. And not only that, but there are some really, really disgusting associations that King Charles has had in his past, in his own behavior, that I think more and more people are going to start talking about. And when that happens, you know that the monarchy is not going to be in for a good time, because Charles has had, and we've known about this for years, associations with both the pedophile Jimmy Savile, and also he has associations with Lord Mountbatten, who was his great uncle. And many say he was the most influential figure in Prince Charles's early life and his adult life. Charles himself described Lord Louis Mountbatten as an honorary grandfather and a second father. And this was the guy who was famously advising Charles to sow his wild oats and to be discreet in his affairs. And he was lending out some of his residences and properties so that Charles could carry on affairs with Camilla when she was married to her first husband, Bowles. And this guy, this Mountbatten, he died in 1979. And there's all these allegations coming out about him after his death, allegations of abuse. There's a book that came out just very recently, this past summer, July 2025, by a BBC journalist by the name of Chris Moore, and it's called Kincora, Britain's Shame. And it's talking about this boys' school in Belfast, this boys' school that closed in October 1980 following exposure abuse of the boys there. And according to this book, 5 people claim they abused Lord Mountbatten, this same man who was great uncle to King Charles. And this author, Chris Moore, spoke to 3 of these victims, and they all alleged that they were taken to this castle of Mountbatten's in the summer of 1977 and were abused by him. And 2 of those boys were living at this boys' school at the time. I mean, can you believe this? Can we honestly look at all of these people and all their associations and not smell the rot and not see this disgusting depravity unfolding right before our eyes? So of course we're pissed off when we hear statements like this, because they seem mealy-mouthed and they seem like they're just doing damage control, trying to preserve the reputation of the monarchy. It seems like that's what they're more concerned about, preserving the reputation of the monarchy and not so much really addressing what's going on. I mean, why hasn't Charles released any type of statement saying, these allegations have been out there and I have had these questionable associations, but let me assure you that I am above board, or just something? But they don't want to really address it. They want to do the bare minimum in order to save face. And I really have to say that even the statement put out by William and Catherine, to me, it's just a little too late. Too little too late. And when I say it's too little too late, I just mean that, William seems to be a man who's got very strong convictions, and I don't understand why even back in October, he and Catherine didn't issue a statement, something along these lines back then, to distance themselves, because unfortunately this is a huge mess that they have to mop up, and it's really sad. And it's not really that big of a deal statement. It's just something that a Kensington Palace spokesperson said, that they're focused on the victims. The actual statement just said, quote, "I can confirm that the prince and princess have been deeply concerned by the continuing revelations and their thoughts remain focused on the victims." And that was pretty much it. But I can't help but think that the only reason why this is coming out now is because the optics are bad, because William has a visit to Saudi Arabia and he's meeting with someone who also knew Epstein as well. William is meeting with the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And this guy's also been photographed with Epstein. And Epstein apparently had this photo in his Manhattan mansion, among all his other portraits, with him with all these other influential global leaders and politicians and things. It seemed like this man had his tentacles in everything. He collected these names and these associations with these famous and influential people like he collected socks and underwear, it seems like. And it really seemed like he got off on it. And I know a lot of people think that obviously he had tapes and cameras all over his island and his mansion and his different, houses that he had all over. And he would have these parties and these men come and these girls, and these men would entertain these girls, and everything was taped, everything was recorded. I think that's how he got rich. I think I know that's how he got rich. Everyone thinks that, that's he's blackmailing these famous people with all this dirt he's got on them. And it was like this sick little tawdry game that him and Ghislaine were playing. Just beyond disgusting. And it seems like everyone has got their little hands dirty here. And unfortunately, I think that Charles is not in for a very smooth reign. I think at this point, in my humble opinion, it would be better for him to abdicate. It would be better for him to just step down and give the throne to his son. He won't do that because he's got too big of an ego. He might be a little bit more soft-spoken than, say, a brash Harry and an Andrew, and not as strong in his conviction as, say, a William. But he still has an ego, and he still waited a hell of a long time to ascend. A really, really long time. And that deep down, what these elites think and feel is that they were born to these roles, they deserve these roles, and how dare anyone question them in these roles. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. So I look at William and Catherine and I think, wow, they've got a lot of crap to deal with. And it really sucks to be them. They seem to be focused very, very strongly on their family. I adore Catherine as a cancer survivor myself. I think she's a beautiful, wonderful person. And I do feel sorry for them to having to deal with this, but then there's a really strong pull inside of me that I've been feeling lately, and I know a lot of people feel the exact same way. Is this monarchy going to survive? And even if it doesn't, would that be so much of a bad thing? I mean, the most important thing in the world is God. First God, then family, and then your community. And William and Catherine, if they really are the strong, loving couple and strong mother and father that they have shown us to be in their words and in their actions, even if the monarchy were to end, I think they would be okay. I really do think they would. The only thing that has made me pause a little bit is that I know through reports that I've read and things about William, he's not as strong seemingly in his Christian faith as, say, even his grandmother was. And I know he has a little bit of discomfort with the role of Church of England, head of the church. Whereas I know there have been reports that Catherine has deepened her faith since her cancer struggles, but that doesn't really sit with me well either, that he's not as strong in his faith as he should be, because that nation really, really does need a strong Christian figurehead right now, because they don't have one. They haven't had one in a very long time. In my humble opinion, born and raised Roman Catholic here, very strong Roman Catholic. Personally, I look at the Church of England, in my humble opinion, it was a church founded by a sexual deviant. I mean, let's face it, King Henry VIII founded that church because he wanted a divorce and the Pope wouldn't grant him one. So that's why we have Church of England, okay? Not to say that the church isn't without her problems over the years. There's been a lot of bad popes, don't get me wrong, okay? There's been a lot of bad popes throughout the millennia that have fathered children, for goodness sake. There's always been corrupt and rot everywhere, in high institutions, in governing bodies, churches, everything, of course. But my personal opinion is the devil knows where the one true faith lies, and that's why my church, the Catholic Church, has been attacked so grievously over the hundreds and hundreds of years. And there is rot in the church, just like there's rot in the British monarchy, just like there's rot in all of these governments all over the world. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's why so many of us are angry and disillusioned. I'm getting fired up here. Don't want to get too fired up, but what do you think of that line from True Grit? Do you find it as poignant as I do right now? I mean, I was watching it thinking, holy crap, this can't come at a better time. This sentiment cannot come at a better time. And I don't want to just throw this video out here and get you guys fired up either and make you guys feel sad and hopeless about the state of our world. I just want to remind you, just like I'm reminding myself, that God is in control. God is in control. He has our backs. If we are faithful and true to his word and we live out the gospel and we do our best to live righteous lives and be kind and compassionate to others and to love each other and to hold fast to his truths, we are going to be okay. We are going to be okay. Remember what he told us in the gospel. The world is going to have all this trial and all this tribulation, but take heart. He has overcome the world. There is nothing that these evil, diabolical people can do here on this earth that would have any power in the next life. Absolutely none. And vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. These people, one way or another, will face justice. They will. We have to know that. We have to know that. So in the meantime, I am praying for all of the victims. I'm praying for everyone involved. I'm even praying for the sick, disgusting souls of all these evil people, that they will see the error of their ways and they will turn around and they will speak up and they will do the right thing. We don't know what they're going to do. So in the meantime, let's just remember who's in charge, who's in control. Let's pay attention to all of our friends and all of our families and everyone in our immediate orbit that we can just focus on and just be kind to one another and help each other get to heaven. There's so much out here going on right now that's being talked about every single day that we can't control. But what we can control is all of our personal relationships. We can control how we conduct ourselves in our jobs, in our lives, all of that. Let's just concentrate on how we can make our own families and our own immediate communities better. Let's just pray for each other. Let's just pray, even if it's hard, but we got to pray for all of these evil, rotten people in the world, because they're the ones out there causing all this chaos and all this division and all this strife. And pray for the conversion of souls. Pray that God's grace will shine down upon all these evil people, us too, but even on these evil people that are doing all these evil things, because only the Holy Spirit can convert even the most wretched, corrupted souls. And I know that's not really a popular thing to say, praying for all these horrible people, but you have to. We have no other recourse. This is what our Savior commanded us to do. So let's just continue to pray. I'll pray for everyone. I hope you guys can pray for me. Let's just pray and continue to ask for the grace of God. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.
You must pay for everything in this world one way and another. There is nothing free except the grace of God.